Those demonstrations saw hundreds of thousands taking to the streets of Hong Kong for months. Triggered by a proposed government treaty that would have allowed extradition from Hong Kong to mainland China, the protests quickly grew to reflect wider demands for democratic reform. Observers say the NSL and the trial's outcome have significantly weakened the city's pro-democracy movement and rule of law, and allowed China to cement control of the city. The US has described the trial as politically motivated, while on Tuesday Australia said it had strong objections to the use of the NSL and it was gravely concerned by the sentencing of one of its citizens, Gordon Ng. Beijing and Hong Kong's governments argue that the law is necessary to maintain stability and deny it has weakened autonomy. They also say the convictions serve as a warning against forces trying to undermine China's national security. The case has attracted huge interest from Hong Kongers, dozens of whom queued up outside of the court days before the sentencing to secure a spot in the public gallery. On Tuesday, the court handed out sentences ranging from 4 to 10 years. Tai, a former law professor who came up with the plan for the unofficial primary, received the longest sentence with judges saying he had advocated for a revolution. Wong had his sentence reduced by a third after he pleaded guilty. But unlike some other defendants, he was not given further reductions as judges did not consider him to be a person of good character. At the time of the arrests, Wong was already in jail for participating in protests. Other prominent pro-democracy figures who were sentenced include Gwyneth Ho, a former journalist who went into politics, and former lawmakers Claudia Mo and Leung Kwok-hung. They received sentences between 4 and 7 years in prison. After the 2019 protests dwindled with the COVID pandemic, activists organized an unofficial primary for the Legislative Council election as a way to continue the pro-democracy movement. Their aim was to increase the opposition's chances of blocking the pro-Beijing government's bills. More than 500,000 Hong Kongers turned out to vote in the primary held in July 2020. Organizers argued at the time that their actions were allowed under the Basic Law, a mini-constitution that allows certain freedoms. But it alarmed Beijing and Hong Kong officials, who warned that the move could breach the NSL, which came into effect days before the primary. They accused the activists of attempting to overthrow the government, and arrested them in early 2021. At the end of the trial, the judges agreed with the prosecution's argument that the plan would have created a constitutional crisis.